Hello, and welcome to this podcast for radiation physics at Wenatchee Valley College in Wenatchee, Washington. I am Todd Bussey, your instructor, and I hope you find this podcast and all the other podcasts for this class helpful. This podcast, we will be looking at three different things. One is order of operations, the second one is distributive property, and the third one is adding and subtracting like terms. So let's look at the order of operations first. We have to know how we add or subtract, multiply and divide, or what order we do everything in so that we get the same answer and everybody agrees on how to do that. So when we look at order of operations, we perform all operations inside grouping symbols. That's parentheses, radical symbols, fraction bars, brackets. We do all of that stuff inside of those first, and then we go on to exponents second. So anything squared, cubed, whatever, we do that second. Third is multiplication and division. We start on the left-hand side and work our way to the right, and we do multiplication and division as we come to it. Ignore everything else, just do those multiplication and division. And lastly, we do adding and subtracting from left to right. So we start on the left, do all the adding and subtracting as we come to it. So let's look at the first example. We have 4 plus 3 times 6 plus 3. We don't have any grouping symbols, so we don't have to worry about that. We don't have any exponents, we don't worry about that. Now we look at multiplication and division. Well, the only multiplication with division we have is 3 times 6. We do that multiplication, 3 times 6 is 18. And so then we have 4 plus 18 plus 3. We've taken the 3 times 6 out. Then we have no more multiplication divisions, we do addition subtraction. So we have 4 plus 18, which is 22. And then we have 22 plus 3, which is 25. So when we add all that stuff together, we get 25. Let's look at the next one. We have 3 times the quantity, 4 plus 2, times 5 plus 6 squared. So we have to do the grouping symbols first, the 4 plus 2. 4 plus 2 is 6. So now we have 3 times 6 times 5 plus 6 squared. We have a squared. We have an exponent, so we have to do that first. Next, I should say. 6 squared is 36, 6 times 6. We have 3 times 6 times 5 plus 36. Now we have to do multiplication and division. 3 times 6 is the first multiplication we come to. We have to do that, 18. So then we have 18 times 5 plus 36. We have another multiplication before we do any other addition or subtraction. 18 times 5 is 90. So we do that multiplication, and we'll have 90 plus 36. We have no more multiplications or divisions. So now we do addition and subtraction. The only one we have is 90 plus 36, which is 126. So that is order of operations. We do the grouping symbols first, then we go on to exponents, then we do multiplication and division from left to right, and then we do addition and subtraction from left to right. The next property we're going to look at is what's called the distributive property or distributive law. We have A times the quantity B plus C. And so when we do distributive property, we take the A on the outside, multiply it by the B, so we get A times B. Then we take the A on the outside and multiply it by C, so we get A times C. So our final answer for that piece of it is AB plus AC. So let's look at a number example with that one. So we have 5 times the quantity x plus 7. So we have to take 5 and multiply it by everything in the parentheses. So 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 7 is 35. So we're going to end up with 5x plus 35. We'll talk about like terms, why we can't add those together in a second. The next example we have is 7 times the quantity 8 minus b. So we go 7 times 8. And then we do 7 times a negative b, or we just keep the subtraction in there. So 7 times 8 is 56. Negative 7 times b is negative 7b. So we have 56 minus 7b. And that is the distributive property. You just have to remember to take what's on the outside and multiply it by everything on the inside. The next piece we're going to look at is adding and subtracting like terms. This is where we have to make sure the variable is exactly the same before we can add the numbers or the coefficients in front. The first example we have is 4x plus 3x plus 8y. The 4x and the 3x are what we call like terms because a variable behind them is exactly the same. The 8y is not a like term because the y is different than the x. So we have 4x plus 3x. We take the 4 plus the 3 and get 7. So we're going to have 7x plus 8y. We just add the numbers or the coefficients in front. The next example we have is 5y plus 2x minus 7y. We notice that the 5y and the negative 7y are like terms. They also have unlike signs. One is positive, one is negative. So we're going to subtract those two coefficients. 7 minus 5 is 2. The 7 is bigger, so we're going to keep the answer negative. So we're going to have a negative 2y. The 2x we just kind of leave alone because there's nothing that's a like term with that. So our final answer would be 2x minus 2y or negative 2y plus 2x. The negative has to go with the y values, the 2y. Next, let's look at parentheses and how those come into play with like terms. So we're going to go back to the distributive property. 4 times the quantity x plus 2y plus 6 times the quantity 2x minus 3y. So we take the 4, multiply it through the parentheses, so we're going to get 4x plus 8y. Take the 6 and multiply it through the parentheses. 6 times 2x is 12x. 6 times a negative 3y is negative 18y. So we have 4x plus 8y plus 12x minus 18y. So we have the 4x and the 12x are like terms. 4 plus 12 is 16, so we have 16x. Next we look at the y's. 8y minus 18y. The signs are different, so we subtract. 18 minus 8 is 10. The 18 is bigger, so it's going to be a negative 10. So we will have 16x minus 10y. The next example we're going to look at is 2 times the quantity a plus b minus 6 times the quantity 2a minus 3b. So we use distributive property again. 2a times plus 2b will be the first one. And then we have the negative that we have to worry about. We have a negative 6 times a positive 2a. Signs are different, so our answer is going to be negative. 6 times 2 is 12, so we're going to have a negative 12a. Then we have negative 6 times a negative 3b. Negative times a negative is positive, so 6 times 3 is 18, so we're going to end up with a positive 18b. So we'll have 2a plus 2b minus 12a plus 18b. The 2a and the minus 12a are like terms, different signs, one positive, one negative. We subtract. 12 minus 2 is 10, so we're going to have negative 10a. The 2b and the 18b are like terms. They're both positive, so we add. 2 plus 18 is 20, and we get 20b. So we will have negative 10a plus 20b. And that is it for this podcast, and we will see you next time. Thank you.